Hi dear aspirants, in this video, I'll be making sure that you'll be learning at least a minimum of 10 points. So we'll be learning general studies. So GS, so general studies, it's a very important it's very important component. So it's actually almost forms around 70 to 80% of main syllabus of UPSC and 100%, almost 100% of even prelims, excepting CSAT. Even for other state service commissions and the exams like staff selection commission, CGL, CHSL, railway board exams, and most of the exams, state PSI, PC exams, all police department exams, whether it is civil, technical. So majority of the exams composes generally contains general studies. So general studies means nothing but in general we have to read all the subjects. So excepting mathematics, so social science and science subjects will be asked in general. So the questions might be from polity, geography, history, economy, science and technology, general science, current affairs, etc. So what I'll be trying to do is I'll be trying to provide you the required knowledge to attempt majority of the questions in various exams through question and answer. So I'll not be emphasizing on the entire topic, or I'll not be teaching the topic as a whole, but I'll be trying to take some questions and try to provide good enough information regarding that question. Okay, so these sessions will be purely in English, and I won't be using any local or vernacular languages because general studies is a subject that can be understood by anybody in English, right? So now I'm moving to the questions. First, I'm starting with geography. So every day I'll try to provide one video which contains 10 questions, and most of them are actually the questions that appeared in various examinations in the previous years. Okay. So the first question here is, I'll wait for some 10 seconds so that you may answer the question if you know the exact answer. So my question is, which of the following is called the twin of the Earth? So it is regarding planets of the solar system. So we are having currently 8 planets. Earlier there were 9 planets, right? So in the year 2006, Pluto has been removed from the status of planets, and it has been given the status of dwarf planet. So it's a very small planet, right? So out of the existing 8 planets at present in the solar system, so Earth is the only planet that has life, according to the proven facts. Maybe there are some, there is some life on the other planets, but we don't know. There is no scientific proof for that. So the question here is, which of the following planet is often referred to as the twin of the Earth? The options are Neptune, Venus, and Mars. So what is your answer? So the correct answer for this question is Venus. You might get confused with Mars, but Mars is never referred to as a twin of the Earth, but Venus is referred to as twin of the Earth. Okay, then what is the reason behind calling Venus as the twin of the Earth? So the required explanation and the other points that you need to know about planet Venus are provided here in the form of points to be aware. Okay, Venus is actually known as twin of the Earth. Okay, it is so called. Why it is called twin of the Earth? Because of its size, mass, and material composition. Material composition means, for example, the composition of the soil, which has similar elements, similar metals, similar components, etc. Okay, so the material composition, size of the planet, and mass of the planet are not exactly same, but very similar. They're almost the same. Okay, that is why we call Venus to be the twin of the Earth, depending on the size, mass, and material composition. As both the planets have very similar size, very similar mass, and very similar material composition, we call them as twins. So, twin planets are Earth and Venus. So, Earth and Venus are popularly referred to as the twin planets. Okay, Venus. And then the other important point that you need to know is Venus is the brightest planet of the solar system. So at times, owing it to brightness, you can even actually watch Venus during morning time, evening time, not only during the night time. Generally, we find brighter objects except for sun. All the other stars are visible in the night. Even moon, other stars are visible during the night time. But this is the planet that can be seen even in the daylight. whether it is morning or evening. It can be seen in the daylight also. That is why we call it as brightest planet of the solar system, means leaving out the sun. Okay, and it is observed by the naked eye. It can be seen by the naked eye. It is visible to the naked eye during daylight. That is why it is popularly referred to as morning star, or sometimes it is referred to as evening star. So for example, if in the upcoming examination, if they ask you which of the following planet is often referred to as evening star or morning star, then the answer again comes out to be Venus. Okay, so because of its brightness even during the daytime, we generally refer it to as morning star or evening star. Then Venus is one of the two planets. Out of the 8 planets, or out of the 9 planets earlier, only 2 planets generally rotate against the other direction of the other planet. So, for example, if you consider Earth, if you consider Jupiter, if you consider Saturn, all those planets generally rotate from west to east. Okay, generally rotate from west to east, but there are 2 planets which rotate on their own axis, but from east to west. They won't be rotating from west to east, which is the general direction of rotation for all the planets except 2 planets in the solar system. Those 2 planets rotate on their own axis from east to west, but not from west to east. Okay, so which are those planets? One is Venus and the other one being Uranus. This is also another important question. Which of the 2 planets will rotate on their own axis from east to west? So there are only 2 planets that generally rotates from east to west. All the other planets rotate from west to east, including Earth. Earth rotates from west to east, whereas Venus and Uranus rotate from east to west. Okay, so these are the these are the 3 important points that you must know about the planet Venus. Then this is actually a printing mistake. It should be among. So amidst also it's okay, but it should be among. So which among the following planets has its orbit closest to the sun? So which is very close to the sun. But you need not think about Mercury. Okay, so you have to consider only the planets that are given among the 4 options. Out of the given planets, you have to choose the planet that has orbit very close to the sun. So actually, if you know the order of the planets, starting from Mercury to the last planet, that is Neptune, then you can easily answer this question. The first planet or the closest planet to the sun is Mercury, then followed by Venus, then followed by Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So this is the order of the planets in comparison to ascending order of the distance. So ascending order means increasing order. So the planet that is very close to sun is Mercury, then comes Venus, and then comes Mars. So I am asking closest. So out of the given planets, Venus is the closest planet to the sun, followed by Mars, then Jupiter, then comes Uranus. Okay. Now, if you look at this diagram, you will have a clear-cut idea. Sorry. So sun is the center object, or the object at the center of our solar system is sun. Every other object in the solar system generally rotates in elliptical orbits around the sun. So of the planets, of the 8 planets that are revolving around the sun, the first planet or the very closest planet to the sun is Mercury. Then the second closest planet is Venus. And the third closest planet is Earth. Fourth closest planet is Mars. And the fifth closest planet is Jupiter, followed by Saturn, Uranus. And the farthest planet, the planet that is at the longest distance out of the 8 planets from sun, is Neptune. So you, when you face the question like this, means if the question asked in the exam is which of the following planets is the farthest planet from the sun? Farthest means it has the most distance. It is the longest distance between sun and the planets of the solar system. So the farthest planet from the sun is Neptune, whereas the closest planet or the planet which is very close to the sun is Mercury. But for the above question, the answer is Venus, because among the given options, which planet is not mentioned? Mercury is not mentioned. So you have to consider the given option, so that you need to remember this order. You have to remember this order in whether it is increasing or decreasing. You should remember at least one order with respect to distance from the sun. So distance of the planets from the sun, You should better remember in ascending order. First comes Mercury, then Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So the closest planet is Mercury and the farthest planet is Neptune. So moving to question number 3, which of the following is the hottest planet of the solar system? As there are 8 planets, you already know that. But out of the 8 planets, which among the following is the hottest planet? Hottest planet means you will have very critical temperatures over there. It will be very, very hot. Human beings can never survive in such hot conditions. So it's very, very hot. Okay, so which are the planets out of the 8 planets, which is the most hottest planet? So that is the question, right? So of the 8 planets, generally, if you think in general, but the options are not really confusing, but at times you might contain the option of the planet Mercury among the options. Mercury being the closest, as Sun is here, and Mercury is the first planet which is very close, then comes the Venus, right? So being the closest planet, receiving the light with huge, very much intense light will be projected onto the surface of the Mercury. Then according to general perception, Mercury has to be the hottest planet, but this is not the case. The hottest planet of the solar system is Venus. Why means it is actually brightest. Okay, so you have to remember 2 facts. It is the brightest planet as well as the hottest planet. Why Mercury is the hottest planet, even though it is not as close as Mercury? Mercury is very close to Sun, but even then it's not the hottest planet. Venus, though it is farther than Mercury, Venus is the hottest planet. The reason behind it is because of the presence of one of the gases responsible for global warming. I think everybody knows what is global warming. Global warming is a phenomenon where the surface temperature of the Earth has been increasing gradually because of the presence of or because of the pollution that we are creating and the gases that are emitting due to pollution. Okay, so the infrared rays are grabbed in the atmosphere, creating hot temperatures. Okay, so that is called global warming, and carbon dioxide is a principal gas that is responsible for global warming. So it is one of the main and important elements or important component that is responsible for the threat of global warming or the increase of the surface temperature of the Earth. So I have said that Venus is the hottest planet. Why Venus is the hottest planet? Because it has a vast amount of or huge amount of carbon dioxide is present in the atmosphere of Venus. The atmosphere of Venus contains a huge amount of carbon dioxide. So as carbon dioxide has the property of absorbing infrared radiations from the sun. Infrared radiations generally cause high temperatures because of their wavelength. Okay, so as infrared radiations are actually absorbed by carbon dioxide, because of infrared radiations, the amount of heat generated will be very much high, making it the hottest planet in the entire solar system. So the reason is not based on the distance, but it is actually based on the composition of the planet. So because of the huge amount of carbon dioxide, the infrared radiations are grabbed by the carbon dioxide, leading to more hotter temperatures, making Venus the hottest planet out of the 8 planets in the solar system. So I'm moving to question number 4. So the planet that takes 88 days to make one revolution around the sun is revolution. I'm talking about revolution. So there are 2 movements for every planetary object in general for planets. So one is revolution. Revolution means circling an object. So sun is at the center. Generally, the planets move around the sun in elliptical orbits. Okay, they're not circular orbits. They're actually elliptical orbits, not exact circle. Okay. So that moment is called as revolution. Means the Earth starts here, it will cover the entire orbit and it comes back to the initial position by taking around 365 1/4 days, right? This is called revolution. But Earth, while actually revolving around the sun, it will be rotating around itself. It will be rotating around itself upon when compared to around an axis. Earth will be rotating around its own axis. So at the same time, during the same time, Earth will be performing 2 movements. One is revolution, revolving around the sun, and the other one is rotation, revolving around the axis of the Earth itself. So Of that I am asking about, or the question is demanding, you have to tell the planet that takes 88 days to complete one round around the sun. It means one revolution around the sun. So it is very, very smaller value when compared to 365 of the earth. Then the definite you can definitely guess that the planet must be more closer to the sun when compared to the earth. So the answer is Mercury. Okay. So you can get more idea. So the chart is given over here. You need to be aware of these points. The average distance from the sun. So when you consider the distance of the planet from the sun, so the distance between Mercury and the sun is 58500000, right? Then you need not remember this diameter. Anyhow, if you remember, that's better, because they might ask you about regarding the size of the planets, or they might directly ask you what is the diameter of the earth, or what is the diameter of the they won't ask you the diameter of other planets, but they'll ask you the diameter of the earth for sure. Okay. Then period of revolution. So this is the question. The question is regarding the time taken by the planets to revolve one time around the sun. So to revolve or to complete one round around the sun in the elliptical orbit, every planet has its own unique time to complete one round or one revolution. So out of that, the least value is for Mercury. It is just 88 days. Okay, it is 88 days. If you consider Venus, it is 224. If you consider Earth, we are having 365 1 by 4 or 365.25. Mars 687. So it is Jupiter. If you consider Jupiter, it will be 11.9 years. So here years referred to Earth years. Okay, because we consider on the Earth, we will consider 365 1 by 4 days as 1 year, means normal year. If it is leap year, we'll consider it as 366 days. This is the normal reference. So based on this, we are talking about 11.9 years, means you have to multiply this value by 11.9. So similarly, the planet that takes most amount of time to complete one revolution or one round is Neptune, because it is the furthest planet. If you look at the distance, it is very huge between the sun and the Neptune. That is why it is taking 163.8 years to complete just one round around the sun, or one revolution around the sun. I'm sorry. So this is actually period of rotation, means to move around itself on its own axis. So if a body rotates around itself on its own axis, then we call it as rotation. So as I already said, Earth rotates one time for 1 day, right? That is why we call it as 1 day or 24 hours. So approximately it is 24 hours, right? Similarly, if you consider Mercury, it will take 59.9 days. So if you look at the values over there, you have to remember this value for sure, because it is the least value. The least amount of rotational period for among the 8 planets is possessed by Earth. It is just 1 day, closely followed by Mars, which is 1.03 days. And if you look at the highest amount of time taken, I'm sorry, least is not Earth, because if you look the values over here, they are in hours: 9.9 hours, 10.7 hours, 17.2. So the least value is not for Earth, it is for Jupiter. So Jupiter has the least possible time, or least amount of time that is required to complete one rotation on its own axis, whereas the highest time required to complete one rotation around its own axis is 244 days, and that is for planet Venus. So you have to remember all these points. These questions were never asked by, but the future exams may come up with such sort of questions. The planet that require maximum amount of time, or the planet that takes maximum amount of time to complete one rotation on its own axis is Venus, that is 244 days. Earth takes only 1 day, that is 24 hours. But the least possible time, so the least time for any planet among the solar system planets to complete one rotation around its own axis is for Jupiter, and it takes approximately 10 hours, or exactly it is 9.9 hours. Okay. Considering revolutionary period, that is one round around the sun, the least time is by Mercury, just 88 days, and the highest time is by Neptune, around 163.8 years, or approximately 164 years to complete one revolution around the Earth. And these are distances. Anyhow, one more question is there upon the distance, so we need not emphasize on this. If you want to know the exact distance, remember 10 power 6. If you have 6 zeros, okay, or if you have 6 values from right side to the left side, or if you have 6 values, 6 digits given in the equation, then you can say the distance in millions. Okay, if you have 7 zeros, you can say the distance in crores. If you have 9 zeros, you can actually mention it in billions. Okay, so likewise, you have to consider mentioning the distance. If you have 5 digits, then you can mention that in lakhs likewise. Okay, then question number 5: which of the following is called a blue planet? So which of the following planet, or which planet of the solar system is often referred to as blue planet? Obviously, I think everybody knows the answer. The answer is Earth. So why it is actually referred to as blue planet? Because of the huge amount of water present on the surface of the Earth. If you know, it's around 97% water only, 97.4 something. So just around 3% of the surface of the Earth is covered by land. The rest 97% of the Earth's surface is covered by water of 5 large oceans, including these rivers, etc. Okay. So points to be aware: Earth. Earth is often referred to as blue planet because of the abundance of water. If you look from the sky, or if you look from generally from the space stations, or if you look from 100 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, generally Earth appears to be blue because of the vast amount of water. Okay, so I think you know the reason behind the blue color of water. Water is generally colorless, but it appears blue because of Raman effect. So we will know that physical phenomenon later. Okay, so but any larger surface or any larger space generally which doesn't have color generally appears in blue because of the property of scattering of light, which is principally, or which is generally known as Raman effect, discovered by Mr. C.V. Raman or Sir C.V. Raman. Then Mars is known as red planet. Mars, the planet Mars, is often referred to as red planet, and the reason behind referring Mars as red planet is the soil of the Mars contains mostly iron. It's dominated by iron. So iron generally results in red color. So whenever you find a rusted iron, it is very clear that it appears red in color. So the soil also at times appears red in color. So red soil is red because of the presence of iron again. So if you have the domination of iron in any particular soil or any particular atmosphere, then generally the soil or the mountain appears red in color. Okay. The planet generally is referred to as red planet, not because it is red in color, but because the soil is dominated by iron. Then question number 6: which planets do not have? So that is the line, or that is the word that you need to focus upon. Do not means they do not possess what? Satellites. So satellites are often referred to as moons. So generally we refer satellite as moon because the only satellite that Earth has is moon. Moon is the only natural satellite. We are talking about natural satellites, not artificial satellites. Okay, so we are talking only of natural satellites. Of course, we have actually introduced thousands of satellites till date into the surface of the into the orbit of the Earth, but that doesn't count. We are talking only about natural satellites. So when you consider only natural satellites, Earth is having only one natural satellite, that is Moon. Generally, what is a satellite? Satellite is any object which is smaller than the object that it is revolving around. So for example, Earth is there. Earth is larger than Moon, and the Moon actually revolves around the surface of the Earth. So such an object which revolves around another larger object within the solar system is often referred to as moon or natural satellite. Okay. So of the 8 planets in the solar system, only two planets do not have natural satellites. They don't have any satellite at all because they themselves are very small. Being a smaller planet, they don't have any satellites. So the answer is Mercury and Venus. Option 2. Mercury and Venus are the only 2 planets of the solar system which doesn't have any planets or moons. So the points that you need to know is a satellite is any object. It can be made of any material but generally it revolves around another larger object. So the object that actually is at the center, or the object around which the satellite revolves should be larger than the satellite itself. Okay, but the term satellite is generally used to describe objects revolving around the planets. So generally we use the word satellite to describe the smaller objects that are revolving around the planets in the solar system. For example, moon. Moon is the object that is revolving around the earth, hence we call moon as the natural satellite of the earth. Then you have to remember this fact, which is very, very important. The planet with the highest number of natural satellites is Saturn. Earlier it was Jupiter, but recently, because of major discoveries that happened, so Saturn crossed us. Earlier Saturn has only 63 around, I think, but right now it is having 82. So the planet with the highest number of satellites is Saturn. It's 82, followed by Jupiter at 79. So further discoveries may change the answer. So you have to follow them regularly, or you have to be updated about regarding these facts, because earlier the answer was Jupiter, but due to the present status, at the current status, answer is Saturn. In future, it may change. Again, Jupiter, the scientists may discover 3 or 4 more satellites for Jupiter. Then it becomes the planet with highest number of satellites. So you should update and you should be aware regarding the discoveries made by the scientists. Okay. So for the time being, the planet with highest number of satellites is Saturn, followed by Jupiter. And the planets with the least number of satellites, of course, the least means here 0, because 2 planets doesn't have satellites. One is Venus and the other one is Mercury. So Venus and Mercury are the planets that do not have any natural satellites, okay, owing to the small size, because they're very small. So that's why they cannot actually control the other objects to be in the gravity, to be under the influence of its gravity. Hence, there are no objects that are attracted or that are revolving around Mercury and Venus. So Ganymede, of the satellites, there are so many satellites. For example, here 82, 79, Earth has one moon, then the other planets have some more satellites. But out of the satellites that are in the solar system at present, or out of the discovered satellites, the largest satellite is Ganymede. Ganymede is the largest natural satellite at present in the solar system. It is the satellite or natural satellite or moon of planet Jupiter. It revolves around Jupiter, and the name of the satellite is Ganymede. It is the natural largest satellite in the solar system at present, and it revolves around which planet? Planet Jupiter. Okay. Then, which of the following scientists? Who among the following is a scientist who has proved that the path of each planet around the sun is elliptical? Earlier, majority of the scientists thought that the planets that are revolving around the sun are revolving in circular orbits. They used to think that the planets revolve around circular orbits, but later it has been proved that planets are not revolving in circular orbits. Planets are revolving around the sun in elliptical orbits. Circle and elliptical are slightly different in shape. Okay, circle is generally covered in lesser time when compared to ellipse. Okay, circle can be covered in lesser time when compared to ellipse, because ellipse generally is compressed at the ends, so that it takes more time, and the diameter also increases. The diameter also increases for elliptical orbit when compared to the diameter of the circular object. Okay, so that's the thing that you have to remember. And the person or the scientist who actually proved that all the satellites in the solar system revolve around the sun not in circular orbits but in elliptical orbits was Kepler. Johannes Kepler was the scientist who proved the orbital shape is elliptical. Then the other points that you need to be aware, these are very, very important questions. The scientist who actually, or the astronomist who proposed the geocentric theory. Geocentric theory states that Earth is the center of the solar system, or it actually states that Earth is the center of the entire universe. They even stated that objects like Sun, objects like Jupiter, all of them are revolving around the Earth. So that was the thesis. Earth is the center of the entire universe, and all the other objects, including Sun, other planets like Jupiter, Saturn, will revolve around the Earth. That was the proposal made under geocentric theory, which was put forward by the astronomist Ptolemy. Okay, he was the scientist who put forward geocentric theory. It states that Earth is the center of the universe and all other objects, including Sun, revolve around the Earth, which was later proved wrong. So, geocentric theory has been proved scientifically wrong. Later, one more scientist came up with new thesis, a heliocentric theory, Nicholas Copernicus. Nicholas Copernicus proposed a heliocentric theory. Helio means sun. So very similar theory, but Earth is not the center. Sun is the center of the universe, and all the other objects revolve around the sun. Example: Earth, Jupiter, and all other planets or stars revolve around the sun. That was the thesis. Okay, so which was later proved correct. Okay, Galileo, with the help of telescopic observations, he supported heliocentric theory, and he actually scientifically proved that heliocentric theory is the correct version of um, revolution of objects in the universe or in the solar system. Okay, so and he proved that geocentric theory is a wrong proposition, whereas heliocentric theory is the correct proposition scientifically by observing planets through telescopes. Who proved that? Galileo. But he did not propose. The proposal was made by Nicholas Copernicus. Johannes Kepler. Johannes Kepler proposed three fundamental laws of planetary motion around the sun. So he made certain propositions with respect to planetary motion around the sun. Okay, so the first, you need to remember only the first point. Second and third points are not at all really important. Okay, so but the first point is very important, which actually states that planets revolve around the sun in elliptical but not spherical or circular orbits. So that's the only point that you need to remember. If you want, you can just read it out, but these are not really important for the examination point of view. Okay. Question number 8. Asteroids. Asteroids are major objects present in the universe. There are millions of asteroids in the universe actually. Even in the solar system, there are millions of objects. So what are asteroids? But the question is, asteroids have their orbit. Asteroids are also the objects which are revolving around generally other objects. Okay. So they're asking you, asteroids have their orbits between which are the following planets. So generally you find majority of the asteroids revolving between two planets of the solar system, and that zone where most of the asteroids are present or found revolving around the planets or revolving around the sun is known as asteroid zone. We call that as asteroid zone because majority of asteroids are present over there, and that zone actually lies between, or the space where majority of the asteroids are present in the solar system lies between two planets, that is Mars and Jupiter. You have to remember this. This is a very important question. Which of the two planets or the space between each of the following two planets is often referred to as asteroid zone, because majority of the asteroids in the solar system are present there only, and that lies between the planets of Mars and Jupiter. So first of all, you have to know what is an asteroid. Asteroid is a small or large object generally made up of rock. It is completely made up of rock, nothing else. Okay, so asteroid is a rocky object revolving around the sun and are usually smaller. Very generally, they might be very small and they might be large at times, but generally very smaller than planets. When compared to planets, they are really small. Okay, so the smaller objects completely made of rock, nothing else. It is completely made up of rock, but they'll be revolving around the sun in almost elliptical orbits only. Okay, so then but they're very small, that's why we won't call them as planets. Because of their smaller size, they are sometimes referred to as planetoids. We call asteroids sometimes as planetoids because they're very small. Due to their small size, we cannot call them planets, but we can call them as planetoids or mini planets. We call them as mini planets because they are revolving around what? Sun. So any planet generally revolving around a star is called as a planet. So as these asteroids are also revolving around the sun, but owing to their small size, we won't call them planets. We call them as asteroids or planetoids or mini planets. Okay. And mostly, not every asteroid, but majority of the asteroids are found between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter in the solar system. Hence, that space or the orbital space that is located between the orbits of Mars and orbit of Jupiter is popularly referred to as asteroid zone. We call it as asteroid zone. Okay. Question number 9. Which of the following is inner or terrestrial? Terrestrial means has land surface or It's composed of rocky material. So it's composed of rocks. Okay. So which of the following planets are often referred to as inner planets or terrestrial planets? So generally, out of the 8 planets, the first 4 planets starting from Mercury to Mars are known as inner or terrestrial planets, and the planets that are starting from Jupiter and up to Neptune, the last 4 planets are known as um, outer planets or gaseous planets. The reason we will actually mention in the next page. So now the answer. So the terrestrial planets are first 4 planets, the gaseous or outer planets are last 4 planets. Of the first 4 planets, one is Mercury, the second one is Venus, third one is Earth, and the fourth one is Mars. So the answer should have at least the answer must have only one out of these 4 planets, there is Mars. If you consider Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and Jupiter, they are the farther planets from Sun, and they are known as popularly as outer planets or gaseous planets. Okay, so if you refer to terrestrial or inner planets, they are the first 4 planets. Of the options, answer is given as Mars. Now you need to know these points. What are the differences? And as I have already mentioned, we call terrestrial or inner planets for the first 4 planets from the Sun. So that is Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. The last 4 planets from the Sun, that is Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, are often referred to as gaseous or outer planets. Gaseous or outer planets. Okay. So if you look at the differences between the basic differences, fundamental differences between inner and outer planets, they are very closer. They are far away from Sun when compared to these 4 planets, and they take a short time. Usually, they complete one round around the Sun or one revolution around the Sun within a short span when compared to these planets, which take usually it in years. Okay, so they take generally very long time to complete one revolution. They are mostly made up of rocks. Mostly made up of rocks. That is why we call them as terrestrial. Terrestrial means which has land. Land is generally formed by what? Rock or even soils. Soils are formed from where? Rock itself. So if the material that is composed of the surface is formed from rock, then we call such surfaces as terrestrial surfaces. So generally the first 4 planets have generally rocky composition, hence we call them as terrestrial. But most of the outer planets, all the 4 planets, are generally made up of huge amount of gases rather than metals or rocks. Gases dominate the atmosphere or the composition of outer planets. So I have already mentioned the examples. So these are the points that you need to remember. Question number 10. So as I already said, the question is based on ascending order on the size of the planet. So we have already seen the distance. Now we are coming to the size of the planet. So considering the size of the planets, you have to remember at least one order. You remember either ascending order or descending order. Ascending means starting from smallest to highest. Descending means starting from highest to lowest. Of the given options here, Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, and Neptune. So the planet that has a smaller size of the given is, first one is Mars. Mars has the smallest size, then followed by Neptune, then followed by Saturn, and the largest planet in the entire solar system is Jupiter. Jupiter is the largest planet. Okay, smallest planet is Mercury. In terms of size, smallest planet is Mercury. Remember this. And in terms of size, the largest planet is Jupiter. As I'm asking ascending, you have to write the order from smallest to lowest. The order is 2 followed by 4, then 1, and then 3. 2, 4, 1, 3 is at option 3. If you want the exact sizes or if you want the comparison of the sizes, then it is mentioned in the next page. So look at, now I have mentioned it in descending order. Okay, this is descending order from highest to lowest. Descending order of size of the planets. So generally it is based on diameter. Diameter means if you write it, if you draw a circle, the line that joins the line that joins one point to the point that is exactly on the opposite side of the circle or shape is known as diameter. So this is the longest line that can be drawn within the circular object. So that diameter generally shows you the size of the object. If diameter increases, then size also increases. If diameter decreases, size also decreases. Okay. So based on that, the Jupiter diameter is 69,911 kilometers, making it the largest planet of the solar system. Second largest is Saturn. third largest is Uranus, fourth largest is Neptune. Earth diameter is 6,371. You must remember, generally this question is asked several times, but the answer is approximate. So approximately the answer will be always mentioned as 6,400 kilometers. So what is the approximate diameter of the Earth? So it is generally given as 6,400 kilometers, but to be precise, it is this much, 6,371 kilometers. Okay. Then the next planet in terms of size is 6,052. So that is why we call them as twins, 6,371 and 6,052. So very, very close, not much of the difference. So that is why we call them as twins in terms of similar in size. Mars 3,390 and Mercury 2,440. So Mercury is the smallest planet, followed by second smallest planet is not Venus. Venus is not the second smallest. You have to remember this point. The second smallest planet is Mars. Okay. Second smallest planet is not Mars. It is actually, sorry, is not Venus. It is actually Mars. So that is about the sizes of the planet. So the largest planet is Jupiter. Second largest planet is Saturn. So that's how you have to remember. Definitely you should remember this order, because many a times such questions will be asked based on ascending, descending orders. Every time they may not give the same planets. At times they may give Earth, Uranus, Jupiter, the other planets like Mercury, etc. Okay, so you have to remember all the values. You try to remember one order, maybe ascending or maybe descending. That's enough. Okay, so with this we have ended this video. So hope the session was useful. If you felt the session was useful, please do like the video, share the video, and you can give any suggestions, or you can appreciate the content of the video with your comments. So thank you.